Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Dogs Who Serve. Incredible Stories of Our Canine Military Heroes by Lisa Rogak. Narrated by C.S.E. Cooney. Introduction. Ever since May 2011, when the news first hit that there was a highly trained Belgian Malinois dog named Cairo who assisted a team of elite Navy SEALs in the raid that located and subsequently killed Osama bin Laden, people from all over have clamored for more information about the lives of the military working dogs who serve in all branches of the U.S. military. Though there have been countless stories and video news reports that have appeared in the years since the raid, people still can't get enough, whether it's learning about the lives of MWDs, short for military working dogs, in wartime, or the details about their constant training routines, or what happens to them after they retire. Why do people love to hear stories about our canine soldiers? In short, because they represent everything that is great about the U.S. military. First of all, they serve a unique and specific purpose that no two-legged soldier could ever fill. These dogs act as a first line of defense against enemy threats because they can smell things and go places that humans can't, said Technical Sergeant Roseanne Kelly, Assistant Flight Chief with the 366th Security Forces Squadron at Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho. Plus, their mere presence can have a huge effect, even if they never bark or growl. They're a force multiplier. They give more power than just people alone, said Staff Sergeant Samuel Giordano, a handler at RAF Mildenhall in the United Kingdom. The dogs are a huge psychological deterrent. People are often scared of them, and we use them for our own protection as well as force and resource protection. Indeed, MWDs are often regarded as the last resort before a soldier decides to use deadly force. When you fire a weapon, you can't take that bullet back, said Corporal Ryan Pills, a handler based at Marine Corps Base at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. These dogs are like our retractable bullets. A dog may chase after an enemy and attack him, but if the enemy surrenders or backs down, the dog can be called back. But even though a canine soldier naturally serves as an effective weapon and crime deterrent, he needs a highly trained two-legged soldier to guide him. A dog team is a special kind of asset, said Lance Corporal Pete Hernandez, a handler with the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force based in Okinawa, Japan. It relies on one handler building a bond with his partner. Together they can pinpoint where an odor is, tell explosive ordnance disposal Marines where to search, and if that's not available, we can choose an alternate route and not have to put Marines in danger. I would definitely say that I put my life in my dog's hands. While the dog has the nose, the handler is responsible for interpreting and serving as translator for other humans. As such, most handlers would add canine mind reading to the long list of skills that are necessary to serve as the human side of an effective MWD team. You have to be able to read the dog's change in behavior and be able to control them, said Staff Sergeant Randy Cotner, a military police dog handler. I know he's going to get sick before he gets sick. While there are soldiers throughout the ranks that only see military working dogs as dogs, you'd be hard-pressed to find a handler that feels this way, said Sergeant First Class Aaron Meyer, kennel master with the 550th Military Working Dog Detachment at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. They become close, sometimes to an extent that it seems that they are one entity. In the end, a dog becomes an extension of the handler. Without one, the other is useless. However, to develop that seamless connection, it usually requires weeks or months of long hours of training together and just hanging out. While some dogs and handlers instantly bond from the first moment of meeting, the reality is usually something different, and so the job of handler is not for the impatient. It took 3 to 6 months to develop the type of bond I wanted with Kiara, said Staff Sergeant Roseanne Caballero, an MWD trainer with the 799th Security Forces Squadron at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada. I spent a lot of time with her, got to know her, and she was with me everywhere I went while on duty. There's more to this job than people see, and it's very time-consuming. You have to want it. If your heart isn't set in it, then this isn't the job for you. As with any relationship that depends on being so closely attuned to your partner, trust is absolutely essential. If the dog cannot trust you, or you cannot trust the dog, there cannot be a rapport established, and you will never become a team, said Staff Sergeant Nicholas Drake, an MWD trainer with the 354th Security Forces Squadron at Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. You will make mistakes, and you have to be willing to let the dog make mistakes. And the primary way they accomplish this trust is by letting a dog do dog things, walking around the base, jumping through the hoops and climbing ladders on the obstacle course, and chasing a ball or tugging on a rope for hours. Both dog and human are obviously having a blast, but toss and fetch and the other games are actually bringing them together to form a bond that will eventually help both to protect their fellow soldiers as well as each other when called upon to search for explosives and/or bad guys, both at home and overseas. It looks like playtime for the dog, and in a sense it is, said Technical Sergeant Matthew Mosher, a handler who is also based out of Eielson Air Force Base. Everything needs to be fun for the dog, and positive. Once an MWD team achieves that bond, well, it's hard to know where one begins and the other one starts. Most MWDs are essentially a well-oiled machine where words are often not necessary. When you achieve that level of rapport, there is nothing that dog won't do for you, said Mosher. And once it's achieved, it's unbreakable. At the same time, just like their human counterparts, canine soldiers each have their own distinctive personalities, and they can act differently with different people. Imagine your M4 rifle. And now imagine your M4 can communicate with you and has good and bad days and a personality, said Captain Jake Porter, the Provost Marshal at Forward Operating Base Spin Boldak in Afghanistan. That's what handlers have to be able to deal with. In the years since my book, The Dogs of War, The Courage, Love, and Loyalty of Military Working Dogs was published in the fall of 2011. It's clear that readers love to read about these incredible four-legged soldiers. Indeed, interspersed between the chapters where I covered training, equipment, and life on the front lines, some of the most popular parts of Dogs of War were the individual profiles of the MWDs scattered throughout the book in sidebars. The story of Rex, an MWD who served in Vietnam, who received 2 gold crowns from a regular dentist and was able to return to serve by his partner's side, and a German shepherd named Bodo, who saved his handler's life in Iraq by pulling him out of the line of gunfire. In addition to the heartwarming stories of these canine soldiers in the Dogs of War, Readers also marveled at the amazing photos that showed the dogs lunging through the air, jumping out of perfectly good helicopters, and always displaying the devotion they feel for their human partners. The public affairs departments that are a crucial part of any military base at home and overseas love to do stories about the canine soldiers in their employ, and it definitely shows. From the photos of MWDs wearing goggles, aka doggles, and booties, to pictures showing them being hoisted out of helicopters and even jumping out of planes. It's these pictures that accurately and poignantly help capture the lives of these heroic dogs. But there's a softer side, too. Whether it's a picture of the Belgian Malinois puppies who are specially bred and trained to serve and protect two-legged soldiers, or one of the unguarded moments that shows a handler giving his canine partner the last drops of water from a canteen on a 120 degrees in the shade day in a desert encampment. These photographs serve to reveal a little more about these incredible partnerships. And so, Dogs Who Serve is devoted to telling the great stories of MWDs and their handlers, along with featuring amazing photos that show them both at work and play. I hope that these stories will help listeners to appreciate and learn a little bit more about the absolute love and devotion that these dogs show towards their jobs and human partners, and that they serve their country without question. In the end, while life as a handler and MWD team certainly isn't easy, the rewards are plentiful. "It's great to come into work and see your best friend every day," said Sergeant Joseph Nault, an MWD trainer at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada. "It doesn't matter if you're not having a good day. The dogs are going to get you going." "There is no better job in the Air Force. I put on my uniform and play with a dog," said Staff Sergeant Christopher Michaud, Nault's co-worker at the 799th Security Forces Squadron and kennel master at the base. "What other job is like that, where you get to go to work every day and get paid to play with dogs all day?" Chapter 1. Basic Training. They say not to get too attached to the dog you work with, but how can you not get attached to something you work with for hours day in and day out? Asked Corporal Darren Westmoreland, an MWD handler based at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms, California. Especially when they're cute puppies. Indeed, that's the most difficult part of working with an MWD, whether you're a handler teamed up with a canine partner for a 2-year commitment, or a trainer in charge of evaluating a bunch of squirming puppies to decide which one is going to head off to protect American soldiers put in harm's way. But happily, there are many people who are willing to do it. After all, it's a fulfilling and entertaining way to serve their country. The youngest recruit, Didonja. It's a pretty fancy name for such a small, cute puppy. Donja, or Didonja if you want to get technical. All of the puppies born into the military working dog breeding program at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, are given names that begin with doubled letters to characterize the dogs as belonging to the program, where the aim is to supply MWDs to every branch of the U.S. military. As such, it's one of the largest military breeding programs in the world. At only 11 weeks of age, it's hard to believe that the wriggly Belgian Malinois with the enormous ears will develop into a highly trained, ferocious warrior who will undoubtedly head off to a volatile part of the world where her ultra-sensitive sense of smell will help save the lives of American soldiers. Though the military has long acquired canine soldiers from a mix of private breeders, individuals, and even shelters, the focus in recent years has shifted to a desire for uniformity by working with a breed with a combination of strength and temperament that will excel at whatever the military can throw at it. Defense experts determined that the Belgian Malinois was close to perfect for their needs due to the breed's adaptability and genetic ruggedness. German Shepherds were previously the breed of choice, but many of the dogs tended to develop hip dysplasia in their later years, which is less likely to become a problem for Belgian Malinois. This is where Didonja comes in. We can provide a product that's specially tailored for our needs, said Bernadine Green, Deputy Director of Lackland's breeding program. We can start these puppies from birth and really start guiding them along the Department of Defense training path. That path consists of several stages for future canine soldiers to graduate from. First up, the whelping stage, from birth through about 2 months old. Next is living with a foster family, which is followed by basic training, which focuses on obedience, and finally advanced training to teach patrol and detection skills. Then, if the dog completes all the required tests and certifications, the fledgling canine soldier is assigned to a military base where he is teamed up with the first of several two-legged partners to serve out his military career. Throughout the entire process, trainers and civilians alike learn about a particular dog's strengths and weaknesses, which will help to determine whether a dog is trained to detect explosives or narcotics, or indeed if the canine washes out of the program entirely. During the first stage, staff at the breeding program are looking for a sense of each puppy's personality. As Green described it, a puppy who grows into a successful MWD should be inquisitive, eager to check out new places, sociable, not overly aggressive, and eager to play with objects such as toys and balls. Obviously, not being afraid of loud noises is a requirement. As Didonja chewed on a rope, batted at a ball, and tumbled around the floor with her littermates, she appeared more than ready for the next stage. Fostering loyalty. Be Bella. When the Belgian Malinois puppies are about 8 weeks old, they are placed in a foster home where they stay for about 5 months to build socialization skills and learn basic obedience. Most of the foster families are volunteers who live in and around San Antonio and outlying communities. Some are service members or veterans, while others have a military affiliation, but all volunteer for the job because they share a common desire to serve. Families love to do it, said Bernadine Green. It's their way of giving back to the community and the military, and also for the sheer pleasure of caring for a puppy. Living in a foster home is an integral part of an MWD's development. Families take them everywhere, to school, playgrounds, stores, work, said Green. It broadens the puppy's horizon. Without these foster parents raising the puppies, we don't get well-rounded dogs. Tracy Cann, a foster consultant with the breeding program, concurs. Working dogs are very high energy and intelligent, and growing up in a kennel could make them shy and introverted when we need them to be just the opposite, she said. Foster families raise the puppies in their homes and socialize them in all kinds of environments, which would not be possible if they were raised in kennels. When a Belgian Malinois puppy named Bibella, all paws and ears, came to live with Hector Hernandez and his family, they weren't sure what they were getting themselves into, which certainly went double for the family's resident dog, Rosie. But Hernandez, a Navy veteran and training instructor at the Naval Technical Training Center in Lackland, said that signing up for the foster program has provided him with a way where he can continue to serve his country. "I miss the military," said Hernandez, who retired from the Navy in January 2011. "I feel like I have a lot of good fight in me. I want to serve further." While the day-to-day life of living with a foster puppy can be a lot of fun, mixed with an occasional dose of frustration, the truth is that the end of the period is never far from the minds of the families. "We have a lady who's fostered 13 puppies for us," said Green, adding that when the time comes for a puppy to return to Lackland, she cries a blue streak. Basic training. After the foster period ends, the puppies, who at around 7 months of age are now officially adolescents, head back to Lackland for what is essentially basic training for canines. They'll spend the first couple of weeks settling into life in a kennel at the base, which admittedly can be a rough adjustment to make after living in the relative cushiness of a family home, complete with comfortable furniture and at least several family members spoiling the puppy for the majority of her waking hours. Indeed, though the kennel staff obviously take excellent care of the young pups upon their return to Lackland, some of the dogs become visibly depressed from losing their home and foster families, as well as sleeping in the comparatively harsh environment of a kennel. If the depression continues for more than a few weeks, staff take it as a clear sign that the puppy will not be able to deal with the rigors and uncertainties of military life. At this point, the puppy will be put up for adoption and go to live with either the foster family or an active duty service member or civilian employee at the base. More often than not, there's a lengthy waiting list of people who would love to welcome the puppy into their homes. Those canines who remain then begin a 5-month program of training and tests designed to analyze a dog's strengths as well as his weaknesses. Anything and anyone a dog may encounter on a military base or in a war zone comes into play to further weed out those canines who may not be suitable for a lifetime career as an MWD. Gunfire, bombed-out buildings in a harsh desert environment, and helicopter landings and takeoffs are all part of the program. Trainers are also watching to see if a dog prefers to spend more of her time biting and chewing on a ball or rag, even if an unfamiliar and enticing aroma wafts by, or will relinquish the ball and veer off in the direction of the scent, curious to follow where it leads. Dogs who favor the ball are more likely to excel as patrol dogs, tasked with protecting a military base from potential criminals, while the dog who was distracted by the scent will probably develop into a fine detection dog, specializing in searching for either explosives or narcotics. In recent years, however, the military has branched out into training and certifying MWDs in both detection and patrol, known as dual-purpose dogs, in order to put the dog to full use. "Right now, the need is great for detection dogs," said Green. "These puppies will save more people with their nose than they ever will with their teeth." Advanced training. When the dogs graduate from basic training, they head directly into a 2-month intensive program at Lackland known as DTS training, short for the Dog Training Section. As before, after some time is allowed for the adjustment from one program to the next, they head directly into a regimen of exercises and training sessions where a variety of different handlers will put them through their paces. By the time dogs make it into the DTS program, which consists of 1 month of patrol work and 1 month of detection training, the job of their trainers and handlers is to build the finest canine soldiers they can manage. I compare it to coaching Barry Sanders or Michael Jordan's son. Trainer Staff Sergeant Victor Nelson said, "It's just a matter of guiding them along the path. As far as genetics and talent, they already have it." "In my world, you don't want a dog you have to coax to do anything," said Bernadine Green. "You want a dog that comes right out of the gate and says, 'Let's go to work.'" But as is the case in life, nothing is ever guaranteed. Upon watching a group of trainers put several dogs through their paces on the training course, Dr. Stuart Hilliard, logistics chief with Lackland's breeding program, marveled how even if a previous pairing produced a litter of pups where 7 out of 8 went on to become hard-working canine soldiers, just repeating the bloodline doesn't mean that lightning will strike twice. In fact, it's highly unlikely. "One of the interesting things about breeding is that there are no guarantees," he said. "Even if we've had a very successful breeding of a particular male and female, if we repeat the breeding, there is no guarantee the result is going to be as good as the first time. This shows you that genetics are highly variable, that environment plays a big role, and it is very subtle interactions between genetics and environment that lead to good working dogs." After the program ends, each dog is again tested, and if he passes with flying colors, he is certified and assigned to a military base or post to begin what will hopefully turn out to be a long and illustrious career. Sergeant Greco, reporting for duty, sir. When a new canine recruit by the name of Greco arrived at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State in the summer of 2015, neither he nor his new handler, Army Staff Sergeant Adam Sorella with the 95th Military Police Detachment, knew exactly what to expect. While Sorella was an experienced trainer and handler, every dog is different. In addition, the stress of travel and arrival on a new base, as well as some uncertainty about what came next, can mask a dog's personality until he settles in. But first things first, the new soldier needed a bath. "He smelled pretty bad, so I put him in the tub and gave him his toy to chew on," Sorella said. "He just had this sad, 'Why are you doing this?' look on his face." After a vigorous towel drying, Sorella and Greco dove right into getting acquainted with each other through playing together and going on walks. Sorella also checked in on his new partner's obedience skills. They were able to concentrate since there are few distractions both inside the kennel and outside on the training fields. Unlike dogs at home, these dogs don't have toys laying around. So all the working dogs have an extremely high desire for the toy or the reward, said Sorella. We only play with that reward when they are working and after they have done a good job and have met the standard. That's their form of currency. For the first 2 or 3 months after a dog reports for duty, both handler and base trainers work to bring a dog up to the highest level possible through a certification process where every bit of work done by dog and human, alone and together, is analyzed and critiqued. The bond with the handler is imperative, said Technical Sergeant Kenneth Clinton, kennel master with the 31st Security Forces Squadron at Aviano Air Base in Italy. The initial phase of the certification process is having the handler build rapport with the dog. Without trust and respect, the dog team is fighting each other. The dog isn't going to want to do anything for the handler, and the handler won't trust the dog's instincts. Building rapport is more like having to make someone your best friend, said Staff Sergeant Eric Paris, a handler who works alongside Clinton in the 31st SFS. It has to be sincere. If you don't truly love your dog, they can tell. It's easy for me, though. I genuinely love my pup.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?